Selling Live and On Air. What is going on in direct selling as companies begin to see recruits dry up, distributors dry up, and we also begin to see a stagnation in the number of people coming into direct selling? I'm now being asked, what is going on? Because no one seems to know. Also, if we look at what's going on politically here in the United States, we have to ask the question, with so many attacks now coming against women politically, which impacts 85% of all distributors here in direct selling who happen to be women, what is going on? Not one association steps up to talk about or defend women's rights here in direct selling. So today, here on Air, that's what we talk about. Be right back.
When my mother used to sell Princess House.
Joined them way that night.
Norma siempre vendía cosas de Avon.
Oh, it must have been around 1935.
But those knives were amazing.
The one lady's name was Mary Kay, and I said, oh, cosmetics will never sell on Party Plan.
Was a single mom and created these hair care products for black women and became the first self-made millionaire in the United States. I just think that's extraordinary.
Hi, this is Keeper. Welcome back to On Air. You know, it's been an absolutely interesting past 10 or 14 days for me. It really has. You know, I've been in direct selling for 16 years now, since 1995. And I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot. And for the most part, everything has just been fantastic. There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of prosperity. There's been a lot of people who've been able to really positively impact their lives. But over the past couple of years, we've begun to see some cracks in the direct selling, not necessarily myth, but certainly in direct selling. And I think that really holds true for just business, not only here in the United States, but all across the world. Oftentimes, or certainly in the past, when unemployment is down, when business is struggling, direct selling tends to grow exponentially. It's really a great time for those companies in direct selling and those distributors looking to grow their business. However, over the past couple of weeks, I've gotten some very interesting calls from some very interesting people. People I would never, ever have expected would call and ask me, Keeper, what is going on? I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. I'm not just talking about distributors. I'm talking about company owners. I'm talking about consultants in conversations I'm having with them. I've had the conversation with a couple of media people in direct selling and a couple of association founders and people who are at the top of associations asking me what is going on. What's odd about this is it's very rare that any of these people, certainly at the company level and at the association level, come to me to offer them any kind of advice or insight ever when it comes to direct selling. So I just, on the one hand, you tend to be flattered that someone of this importance would come to little old me and want to know what my opinion. On the other hand, it's kind of perplexing because you would think they would know. Some of these people have been in this industry twice as long as I have, and yet they don't have a clue. However, I think I know what is going on, and I think in large part even they know what's going on. There's a really good book that came out, I believe, around 2002. I had it on my desk for years, called The Entertainment Economy by Michael Wolff. It is a great book on how entertainment is used to capture the attention of the average person or anyone outside of the media. And I think what's happening here is direct selling is having such a major battle for the attention of prospects, customers, and distributors, not only here in the United States, but all across the world. Also, if you look at the numbers of direct selling here in the United States, the growth numbers, on the retail side, dollar-wise, and on the distributor side, there's been some stagnation taking place over the past couple of years. In fact, I'm trying to remember if it was 2010 or 2011, Direct Selling News in his editorial section, John Fleming mentioned that what you had was you had a growth in distributors, but you had a negative in retail sales, which is always a bad thing. It's always really, really bad. Oftentimes that indicates distributors jumping from one company to the next, but at the end of the day, it's all about sales. And you also need to keep in mind, as direct selling companies spend less attention here in the United States, they're just flocking in droves to try to expand, I think, oftentimes too quickly and go into international, grow internationally. I'm going to read some of the fact sheet numbers that just came out from the DSA. Now, the DSA represents about 188 companies in direct selling. Know this, there are thousands of direct selling companies in the world. It's been estimated that there's somewhere between 3,000 to 4,000 companies. The fact that the DSA only has 188 at this time is not a good indicator on the real number of distributors and the real dollar potential being generated by this industry. I'm going to give you some of the let me say that again. I'm going to give you some of the fact sheet numbers for direct selling in 2010, which they actually give you a comparison between U.S. and the census numbers here in the U.S. The numbers, as I said, are beginning to stagnate a bit, and I have an idea as to why that is. Let me say this. U.S. retail sales in 2006 generated $32.8 billion. In 2007, it dropped down to $30.8 billion. In 2008, for U.S. retail sales in the billions, the number dropped again to $29.6 billion. And in 2009, it dropped again. Retail sales, $28.3 billion. And in 2010, it was relatively the same at 28.5. It's showing that the retail sales numbers are actually dropping. Now, if we look at the direct selling numbers, the numbers of sellers have pretty much gone up and down. In 2006, you had 15.2 million here in the United States. As I said, they only represent 188 of the thousands of companies. And yet, I think the numbers will pretty much bear out across the entire community. In 2009, you had 15 million here in the United States. I happen to think the number is actually closer to 30 million. And in 2007, 15 million. 2008, 15.1. In 2009, 16.1. And just a little drop back in 2010 to 15.8. What is going on is there are so many things happening globally that are impacting the growth of direct selling. And it's not just globally from the sense that companies are expanding, but there are so many things going on that are taking away the attention of distributors and customers that people aren't paying as much attention to direct selling. This is my opinion of the whole thing. If you look at beginning in 2008, when we here in the United States went through a major shift politically, when the first black president or multicultural president actually became a reality here in the United States. During that time, the economy has been quite a challenge. We're also seeing education being affected, housing, all this is just coming into play. But if you look at all of the rhetoric that has been taking place coming out of Washington, I think that more than anything has had not only an impact on business, but it's also had an impact on the psyche of people who are thinking about starting any kind of new business. They just don't know what's going on, and companies are suffering because of it. In the past, direct selling companies have prospered under these conditions, but not anymore. Also, as more and more companies enter into direct selling, it is having an impact on the pool of people available to join a direct selling company. The waters are being muddied. We're also seeing people leave companies in the hopes of striking it rich really, really fast, and that does not bode well for stability here in direct selling. So what do? I don't know, but I know one thing: the people who should know are coming to me to ask me, keeper of all people, what is going on. A company that started about 2 years ago called me and said, we don't know what to do. we have been in start mode for the past 2 years and we can't seem to get any kind of traction whatsoever. I had a conversation with a recent association, high-level association person not long ago who indicated their numbers are just dropping as well, and they don't know what to do. As it relates to the entertainment economy, the great book by Michael Wolff, the battle for your attention is what is going on. Companies have got to become a lot more creative. They have to have more offerings. They need to figure out what's important. And I think what's important is a thing that made direct selling great to begin with. And that's getting back to telling the stories. Companies don't tell the stories much anymore. They talk about money. They talk about the ability to have freedom. But that's not what's going on here. Companies need to get back to telling people where hope lies. So many people are looking for hope. And the hope is not in the money. The hope is emotional. The hope is mental. The hope is spiritual. You've got to get back to telling the stories of what's important. I don't think there's any other way around this particular issue. I'm going to talk more about this in the next upcoming days because I think it's something that everyone needs to pay attention to. When I come back, we're going to talk about as politics begins to dominate the direct selling landscape, the industry is represented by almost 85% women. And a lot of what's happening politically in the United States is an attack on women's ability to choose by people who have absolutely no idea what women's needs are. And that's men. How can that be? But even more curious is how can our associations who represent so many women remain silent? I don't get it. This is an opportunity, and yet they're blowing it. I'll be back.
No family can survive on 2 incomes anymore, let alone 1. If you are supplementing your family's income working from home, then tune into The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio. Host Deb Bixler brings you sales tips, lead generation systems, and best business practices that guarantee direct sales success. Whether you're looking for a little extra cash or a career change, The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio will give you proven systems that will work in your home business. The Cash Flow Show, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on World Talk Radio Variety.
Welcome back to On Air. Anyone who's been paying attention to politics in the United States, particularly if you're a woman, have to be appalled at what's going on. Have you seen so many bills being introduced that attack a woman's right to choose? And it's not just choose from the standpoint of contraception, but it's the ability to choose to do anything. At the top of all of this is the Roe v. Wade law here in the United States, or ruling that took place. But a woman's right to choose, and I'm not really all that interested in if you're pro-life or if you're on the opposite side. That's not the issue. A woman should be able to choose what her path is. From a health standpoint, from an education standpoint, from a job standpoint, from a life standpoint. We're seeing so many bills introduced at the state level, it is impacting distributors here in the United States. There's no way of looking around it. Associations who represent the largest number of distributors, and that would be women, haven't said a word on any of this. Now, they're probably trying to be bipartisan. I get it. But when an opportunity for our associations to step up and plant their flag in the ground and say, we are for a woman's right to choose, only creates a tremendous opportunity and will only create tremendous goodwill by all the women in direct selling. We have the MLMIA, the Multi-Level Marketing International Association. We have the DSA, the Direct Selling Association, and of course the DSWA, the Direct Selling Women's Alliance, who stand to benefit the most by standing up for women. I don't get it. How is it that so many women here in the United States that our distributors, 85% in fact of distributors around the world are women, and our associations do not come to their defense. Do not say a word. Do not get behind them at all. It's boggling to me. I just don't get it. I love the associations that we have. I know the people over there. They're really, really great people. But I think the fear is causing them to just stagnate, to become paralyzed. They're afraid of taking a stand. And I don't think you can do that. I think you have to make a stand, particularly if you're the DSWA. You are the Direct Selling Women's Alliance. You represent the 85% of all distributors in direct selling. If you really want to see your numbers grow, this is your opportunity. This is your golden moment. If the DSA ever wanted to get distributors behind them, this is your golden moment. This is your opportunity. But we know who you represent. You represent the owners. And I understand the awkward position you would be in. I'm really not understanding this. Women are the backbone of this entire industry and always have been and always will. For the DSWA, here's your great chance to stand up and take the stand that you aren't just about business. You're not just here to help a direct selling female owner grow their business, but you're here to impact their life. You're here to help them. We are just seeing attack after attack after attack on women here in the United States. And the odd thing is, every attack that I'm seeing is being spearheaded by some guy. I don't get it. Who am I to tell you what you should be doing with your life health-wise? I don't have a clue. And neither do the guys who are introducing these bills. But the effects are going to be so far-reaching. They're going to impact women for generations. Speaking of generationally thinking will get direct selling's numbers to grow. Unfortunately, direct selling associations tend to not think from a generational standpoint. They tend to think with the here and now. They tend to have those lenses, the here and now lenses. That's not how you grow. That's not how you maintain. That's not how you get people to be loyal to you. I predict this. If the DSWA, Direct Selling Women's Alliance, were to step forward and just say simply, we believe in a woman's right to choose her own path, whatever that may be. We believe, as 95% of all women here in the United States have taken contraceptives, that they should choose the best path for them, and no man should have a single word in it. I think if the DSWA were to do that, they would see such growth in their numbers. Women would flock to them. But I don't think they're going to. So what do? Know this. OnAIR, Direct Selling Live, and me support a woman's right to choose. I think you should be able to make your own choice. I've got nothing to do with it. Even when it comes to my wife, we have the discussions. But it's not something that I can say it's going to be this way. I don't have the moral authority. I don't have the legal authority. I don't have the spiritual authority. I don't have the mental authority to override her. It's not fair. It doesn't make any sense. It's a civil rights issue. There's so many things wrong with this. And yet, unfortunately, the DSWA, they think I attack them. I'm not. I'm trying to show you a path to grow, a path to being something even greater. I don't know who's going to do it, but I really wish they would. I really do. When I come back, just a little brief story about the upcoming Profiles in Courage story that will be out next week, featuring Janine Avila. What an amazing, amazing woman. We just interviewed her this morning for Profiles in Courage here on Direct Selling Live, one of our new series. You're not going to want to miss her story. It will bring you to tears, but when it's all said and done, you will absolutely believe you can get it done when I come back.
When my mother used to sell Princess House.
Joined them way that night.
Norma siempre vendía cosas de Avon.
Oh, it must have been around 1935.
But those knives were amazing.
The one lady's name was Mary Kay, and I said, oh, cosmetics will never sell on Party Plan.
Was a single mom and created these hair care products for black women and became the first self-made millionaire in the United States. I just think that's extraordinary.
Janine Avila is a woman who's been married multiple times. I'm going to give you a quick story on this because I really want you to come to Direct Selling Live next week and go to the Profiles in Courage stories. It's a thing that we started a couple of months ago where we're talking to different people who have overcome tremendous obstacles to get to where they're at. In fact, we sent out an email to our Direct Selling Live community and asked if you had a story you thought we would be interested in talking to you about. Send us an email at info@directsellinglive and we'll consider it. We're going to be doing another 4 to 5 stories before the end of the year. Back to Janine though. Janine I've come to know a little bit. She's been on air a couple of times. She came on to talk about women in the boardroom, which was an absolutely great topic here on air. She's also talked about what it's like to grow a direct selling business successfully with a number of kids as a single mom. And so as the more we got to talk, the more I got to learn more about her amazing story that is filled with strife. It's filled with very close people dying to her along the way. It's filled with her going through multiple divorces. It is filled with her children getting into gangs. It's filled with stories of earthquakes destroying her house, fires destroying her house, and her brother dying, and her personal trainer dying, and a very dear friend of hers, Richard Brooke of OxyFresh, the owner of OxyFresh, coming to her rescue. It's an amazing story, and you're all going to want to watch this story. I'm not going to give out any more than that, but this is what I will say. If you've ever thought you could not overcome amazing challenges in your life, watching the Janine Avila story on Profiles in Courage next week will absolutely change your entire aspect on what you can and cannot do. It's an amazing story. Typically our stories on Profiles in Courage are only for 1 month. But this story will not only be told in March, it will only be part 1. Part 2 of her absolutely amazing story will take place in April. One of the other great things for Janine Avila is this month in Networking Times, the March edition, she is the featured story. She is the featured distributor story. So go out and get Networking Times this March and read the Janine Avila story. Networking Times is a great generic training magazine that you can get on the newsstand. It is absolutely great. It has great writing. It has great trainers coming in to give you information on how to build your business, on prosperity, abundance, you name it. It's a great magazine, and it's done by Chris Gross and Josephine Gross, 2 of our Direct Selling Live's Power 50 honorees for the past 4 years. That's it for today's show. Tomorrow, we will see you here on OnAIR.